welcome to my podcast. We are on podcast number 4, and this is going to be an interesting podcast because it's our wrap-up podcast to kind of overview what we've learned. We're going to do an audio mock. It's going to be super cool. And then once we get through this podcast, we're going to be moving into task list B and talking about all those basic concepts, all the good stuff. I've been working really hard on kind of figuring out how I want to group all that material together for you and dish it out over the next 4 weeks or so. And I'm excited, guys. It's going to get really good. We're going to be getting into the actual ABA, the stuff that we live and breathe for, the interesting stuff, right? Today, we are going to be working on an audio mock together. I've made you guys a mock that is 15 questions. The task list A1 through A5. So everything that we've talked about in the past podcasts are going to be covered. Everything you need to know for the exam is going to be covered. We've got lots of story problems. I made some pretty hard questions, so I'm excited to go through those. So for this podcast, I'm going to read through the question. I'm going to give you the options that you can select from, pause, and then I'm going to give you the answer and then move on. If you guys are looking for a breakdown of every question, so if you want to know why the others are wrong, and this one is correct. I even threw in some questions that are like, which one is the most correct? Because the exam is notorious for that, guys. I have that available on my Patreon for you guys, and as well as a copy of PDF version of this mock, so if you want to take it for yourself in the future. And then also, if you are listening on the podcast version of this, there is a breakdown at the end of this little mock where you can kind of self-diagnostic, so you can see, okay, I got this one right, and this one wrong under A1, so, I'm doing good, or, I need to keep studying on this one. I have that breakdown at the end, so if you want the PDF version of this, feel free to go over to the Patreon or check out on YouTube. Whatever works for you is going to be up there. If you're excited for this content and you're enjoying it, make sure you subscribe. We are so close to hitting 100 subscribers, and I am pumped, guys. I am incredibly honored to be helping you guys, and for you guys to be finding my material helpful really inspires me. So thank you guys so much. All right, enough of wasting your time. Let's get into it. Question number 1. Jackson is working in a lab. He is creating his hypothesis for his upcoming study with rats and their tolerance to a new medication. He is gathering his data and facts to create this theory. What characteristic of science is he displaying? Determinism, conceptually systematic, prediction, control. It is prediction. What is most important to understand about methodological behaviorism? It is the most popular behaviorism. It does take into account the inner variables. It seeks to understand all human behavior. It does not consider private events. Answer is, it does not consider private events. Tilly is wanting to be a great BCBA. They are ensuring that they write out all the steps to their procedures and behavior modifications so the behavior technicians can follow the procedures perfectly. She is being what? Effective, technological, analytical, applied. It's technological. Which one is not an important component of radical behaviorism? Private events are possibly existing, but are unobserved and therefore not taken into account. Private events are behavior in Skinner's radical behaviorism. The difference between private events and observable events is just the skin/observability. Private events are impacted by environment in the same way that observable behavior is. Its private events are possibly existing but are unobserved and therefore not taken into account. Jack is a BCBA in a local center with 20 clients in total. Jack has a caseload of 7 with 30 billable hours required. They are trying to improve their performance, but it is just not working, so they decide to look for another job. They notice that a local university has a position open that would allow them to conduct basic research and disseminate that to the public. What field is Jack considering? Applied behavior analysis, pragmatism, other fields guided by applied behavior analysis, experimental analysis of behavior. Experimental analysis of behavior. Continuous testing and manipulation of variables has led you to prove your hypothesis as correct. Your hypothesis is that every time you turn on the light in a room that Johnny is in, he flops to the ground. You're manipulating the independent variables, turning the light on, off, to produce a reliable change in the dependent variables, flopping or no flopping. You've been testing and experimenting for weeks now. What are you engaging in? Description? Parsimony? Control? Philosophical doubt. Control. Which of the following statements is the most correct? Skinner's behaviorism was radical because it did not take into account observable events. Watson is best known for his research on operant behavior and evoking responses. Skinner published the 7 dimensions of applied behavior analysis with the help of ghostwriters. Watson proved that SR psychology could explain some behavior, but not all. Watson proved that SR psychology could explain some behavior, but not all. Jenny's mom welcomed her child's BCBA into their home for their parent training. Jenny's mom is named Vivian. Vivian was raving to her BCBA about how these new gummies were life-changing for Jenny. The gummies have years of proven research that shows the dandelion extract and lack of red dye in the product can fix most agitation in children. She was trying to say that if Jenny takes a gummy every 30 hours, she stays so calm and we do not see any disruptive behavior from her anymore. The BCBA asks if anything else has changed in the home. Mom says, just the gummies. And Jenny's broken trampoline got fixed last week. The BCBA is questioning the effects of the gummies being a cure-all. What is the BCBA engaging in? Philosophical doubt, determinism, empiricism, experimentation. Philosophical doubt. Which of the following is the most true about the characteristics of applied behavior analysis? Bear, Wolf, Risley, 1968, published 6 of them in order to define how experimental analysis of behavior should operate in order to call itself behavior analysis. Conceptually systematic is the most important characteristic because it focuses on ensuring that there are effective systems put in place for high-quality services. Effective is concerned with the social significance of skills that the person is being taught. When considering behavioral, one must ensure that they know why the behavior is changing. It is, when considering behavioral, one must ensure that they know why the behavior has changed. Fill in the blank to make the following statement the most correct. Mentalism is an approach to understanding how mentalistic or inner variables can change or impact one's behaviors, and understanding how, in some form or dimension, the behavior is influenced, relying on blank. Hypothetical constructs in explanatory fiction, behaviorism in modern psychology, Skinner's radical behaviorism, cognitive behavior therapy. Hypothetical constructs in explanatory fiction. Understanding that taking the most logical approach and the one that works is practicing what? Effective, pragmatism, selectionism, adaptation. Pragmatism. Kelly is talking to her friend about her child. She's so annoyed and states her son cries for 15 minutes when the tablet is taken away. She sets a timer to track it now so she can get a plan in place on why this is happening. Her goal is to eventually figure out why he is crying so much. She goes on and on to her friend about his crying and how she just wishes it would stop. She is considering throwing the tablet out the car window. Which characteristic of science would this be? Prediction, description, control, experimentation. Description. When working with clients, you should be ensuring that you are always staying in the realm of behavior analysis, making sure that you are relating everything back to the basics of ABA. What are you displaying? Applied, technological, conceptually systematic, generality. Conceptually systematic. There is a new sleep disorder Instagram account that is gaining a ton of followers. They make videos talking about how every morning you should give your child a gold star for going to sleep without any contingencies. They are always sharing the studies they are getting this information from, which is wonderful. They also talk about using a visual timer and decreasing your prompts to complete your child's nighttime routine. Which category would this account most align with? Other fields guided by applied behavior analysis, experimental analysis of behavior, ABA, behaviorism. Other fields guided by applied behavior analysis. Danny was at a pool party the other day. Every 1 minute he could hear their friend's smoke detector chirp for a battery change. This was really annoying to him. Over time, he gradually started to notice it less and less. Later in the evening, he noticed that he had completely forgotten about it. What is this an example of? Selectionism, extinction, habituation, adaptation. Answer is habituation. All right, guys, that is our mock. I hope you enjoyed it. That is all of our questions, all 15 questions for you guys. So if you have any questions, comments, if you want to see another mock, or if you'd like to check out that PDF version, you know where to find it. There's also that diagnostic part of it that you can check out. I'll have it on YouTube, so if you want to go through and watch the video and score yourself again, you totally can. Feel free to do that, whatever works for you guys. You guys are working hard, and I am so impressed by you guys. Right, if you are on the podcast, this part is the diagnostic section, so don't worry about it. But if you are wanting to figure out where you're scoring in each task list of the A Underpinnings, feel free to go on the YouTube video and check it out. So this audio mock is a little bit shorter, so I wanted to give you guys some surprise study tips that I found incredibly helpful. Some of these are going to be repeats from my other videos, but I do have some new ones for you as well. So my biggest tip when I was studying for mocks was I would write out every single question that I got wrong, and I would write below like where I wrote the question, where the ABCD choices are. I would explain to myself why the other ones weren't right. So if I'm mixed up between two terms, I kept going back and forth, or if I just blatantly got it wrong because, I thought this one had to be it, I'm going to write out below it why that wasn't it. Like, what characteristic or what keyword did I miss? What went wrong, basically. So, for example, if I were mixing up applied and effective, because I did that all the time. Same thing with like ST and MO. People get those ones mixed up all the time, so they're hard. They're very similar until you get it. But even then, it's still hard. So I would highlight in what I wrote out. I would circle. I would explain like what exactly I missed. What keyword do I need to watch out for next time? How is this not MO, or how is this not applied? That would be really helpful for me. And then also for those questions that are which one is the most correct or which one is not, those ones you've got to practice a ton, and I plan on including those a lot in my future mocks. Like when I do the mock for B, for task list B, it's going to be a lot bigger because it's a bigger section of the exam. So you're going to want to practice those a ton, get used to that switch that has to happen. And another way you can do it, so if the question is not, so you can replace it with are, which ones are true. And then you can be like, yep, I know that one, I know that one, I know that one, so it's got to be this one is not. For a lot of people, that helps kind of flipping it rather than trying to like eliminate and remember that this is a not, that one's not, that one's true. It can get really confusing. So getting that flip and being like, okay, I know this one is, this one is, this one is, okay, so that's got to be the not, so therefore that's the answer. Make sure you purchase mocks or you use mocks that you can take over and over. I don't like the ones that are one time only because it's great to see where you're at, but it's much better to be able to see your progress. So if you can get your baseline with this mock, you can then see, okay, I studied for 2 weeks in this area, or I studied for a couple days and I made an improvement, or I'm starting to pick up on these terms. Because if you're just checking yourself here and there on these random mocks, it's not really telling us too much because every mock is different. Some are harder, some are easier. Some are focused in different areas. It doesn't give you much information. So the biggest thing is just figuring out that what you're doing is working so you can just keep moving forward and be confident in how you're studying. I think that's a big thing that gets a lot of people is studying for the exam is overwhelming. It's hard to start. It's hard to figure out how to get through all 800 pages of Cooper in, 2 months. Like it's really hard. I'm planning on working on a kind of a breakdown of how you can get through all these terms in 2 months because I find that 2 months is what most people give themselves. A lot of people give themselves like, 4 or 5 months, but not of intense studying. It'll just be kind of that casual check in, every couple days, do a couple hours here and there until that like deadline starts to get closer. So maybe I'll do like a 2 month and a 1 month, like kind of cram study guide in the sense of like how do you get through all this material? What should be your like daily goals when you study? Something like that. I think will be pretty helpful. Next week, we are going to be starting into task list B, and it's going to be great, guys. We are going to be talking about all the concepts. We're going to lay our foundation, guys. It's going to be really entertaining. I will try my best. All right. Let's have a great week. I can't wait to talk to you guys next week. Enjoy. Bye, guys.